Hello, welcome kittens and students. I'm going to talk about in problem number 4, rewriting a graph of an inequality, and we're going to work from a word problem. Now, just a little bit of personal information about me. I had a flood my house flooded in Harvey, and we had to redo our kitchen cabinets. So I had a very similar situation to the word problem here. I had to have my backsplash and tile area redone. Except I had a little bit more money than just $420. I have a much bigger kitchen. Now, that being said, it says here let me change my size. Okay. It says an interior decorator is going to remodel a kitchen. The wall above the stove and the counter is going to be redone as shown. Okay, we're shown, let me highlight it instead. So it's shown down here. And the backsplash is here. This is the backsplash, and then this is the part behind the kitchen counter. The owners can spend $420 or less. And it wants us to write a linear inequality and graph the solutions. Okay? We want to talk about what are the 3 possible prices for the wallpaper and tiles. Okay? It's not so bad. This is really easy, straightforward. Okay? Now, it's important that we underline our key facts that we have. We've been given 24 feet and 12 feet. Okay? That 24 feet, the paper and the tile, those are our 2 variables. Okay? So our variable 1, t, is tile, or the number of tile. Let's talk about that. The number of tiled area. And then our p is the papered area. Okay, so I'm going to set up t. Now, let me step back here real quick. When I talk about setting up an inequality, I want to make sure that I'm using the right symbol and that I set what my equal to is first, or what the right side of my inequality should look like, or the left. If I was talking about using for the left, because we're used to seeing our total here to the left side, that means that the 420, that's the maximum. So I don't want my value, my symbol to be to the, that means that it can't be to the left, because that means that whatever I write over here to the right, my inequality is going to be greater than $420. So I need to make sure that my inequality symbol is going to be going to the right, because that's going to be maximum. And then it can equal $420. Okay? Now our total that we're given for the tiled area is 12t. Plus 24, and our variable that we're using is p for the papered area. Now, either one can be our x and y axis if we were talking about it in terms of graphing this. Now, we really need to just talk about it in terms from 0. If this is my point, that there is our coordinate point 0, 0. Because we really want to only talk about in terms of from the 0 area. Okay, now we need to solve in terms for one of these variables. It really doesn't matter which variable we denote as x and which variable we denote as y, because in reality either one can be dependent on the other depending on which one we set as the dependent or independent variable. Just for the sake of going with the worksheet and the graph that was given, I'm going to set my x. I'm going to set that as the x variable. And I'm going to set the y, so this is y. Or in terms, I'm going to set this as t, and this will be p. Now, so that means that in order for me to be able to graph this, I need to solve my inequality in terms of t. So in the way of getting my t by itself is my 24p. So now I need to subtract it from both sides. So now I cannot combine the 24p and the 420p because the 420 is constant, the 24p is a variable. So I'm just going to write them next to each other. So 24p plus 420 greater than or equal to 12t. I still don't have t by itself. I now need to divide by 12, divide by 12. I need to divide each term in our inequality by 12. That 12 divided by 12 becomes 1, so that becomes t. 420 divided by 12 gives us 35. And negative 24 divided by 12 gives us negative 2p. It kind of looks familiar, but let me talk about what's familiar to us, what we've seen before. We've seen formulas, or we've seen what we call slope-intercept form as y is equal to mx plus b. Now, I can make this equation look a little bit more familiar. But if I switch my symbol, if my t goes moved over here with my y, I need to switch, because then I'm switching everything. So now that needs to become, my t value has to be less than or equal to. Now I'm going to put my p variable in with my x, because that negative 2 is my slope. So that becomes 2p plus 35. Now let's talk about and graphing this. Okay, our slope is 2. So our m is equal to negative 2. My y-intercept is 35. So I'm going to do 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. So that means that my slope is going to start right here in the middle. My y-intercept is going to be right there in the middle between 40 and 30. Now I'm just going to do a rough estimate. Let me see. I need to find, just so that I can see what my what my x-intercept is. Well, if I need to find what my x-intercept is, I'm going to plug in 0 for my value of t. So I'm going to plug in 0 is less than or equal to negative 2p plus 35. I'm going to subtract 35, subtract 35. So negative 2p is less than or equal to negative 35. And I divide by negative 2, divide by negative 2. Negative 2 negative 35 divided by negative 2 will give us 17.5, positive 17.5, greater than, because we're dividing by a negative number, a value of p. So that means that my p value is 17.5. So somewhere over here is going to be the coordinate point 17.5, and that's how I'm going to graph it. Now it's going to be a solid line, because it is going to be greater than or equal to. Now I need to find out what side of my graph I need to shade on. So in order to do that, again, if we notice, I do have this little handy dandy point 0, 0. I'm going to plug 0, 0 into my inequality. So 0 less than or equal to negative 2 times 0 plus 35. 0 less than or equal to 35. Yes, that's true. So that is a solution. So I'm going to shade below my number line. Pretty simple and straightforward, not too bad. That's how it should look on the graph, and that's what our equation should look like. And we're done. I will see you in the next video.